finally able to get the results of the DNA sample that you pull from the father, you can just hear the champagne popping. This is a quad murder. That has to be elation in that squad room, in that war room, when they're sitting together and they're looking at each other and going, we got this guy. We've got this guy.
After Bryan Kohberger was taken into custody in Pennsylvania, he met with an attorney who said publicly that Kohberger told him he believed that he would be exonerated.
He is very intelligent. In my hour conversation with him, that comes off. I can tell that, and he understands where we are right now.
Hey, Bryan.
How you feeling?
How you feeling, Bryan?
Even though Bryan Kohberger wasn't fighting extradition, he still had to appear in a Pennsylvania courtroom. I was inside of that courtroom when he walked in, and everyone was able to see him for the first time. His mother broke down into tears. The Kohberger family, they were sitting on the front row of that courtroom. He made sure to make that eye contact with them, and he kept looking at them.
Big breaking news, folks, just moments ago. Here it is, the arrival of the accused killer in Idaho.
It was quite a scene when Kohberger arrived back in Idaho. He was taken off the plane in Pullman and put into a pickup truck, and then a caravan of law enforcement vehicles drove him into the Latah County Jail parking lot where media and even members of the public were outside waiting for him. The next time we saw him would be in a courtroom.
The maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Unlike in his Pennsylvania appearance, where Kohberger looked back to see his family in the courtroom, he seemed to make a point in Idaho not to do so, likely because he knew the victims' families would be in the gallery.
I feel like he's scared to look at me in the eyes and start to understand what's about to happen to him. You know, he picked the wrong family.
So once the suspect appears in court, prosecutors release the probable cause affidavit, and this stuff is filled with detail after detail after detail, things we didn't know. 18 pages worth. And at that point, the public got some answers. But more importantly, the families finally got some answers.
You read the affidavit and you just find out that nobody understands exactly why, but he was stalking them, he was hunting them.
The affidavit in this case lays out the evidence against Bryan Kohberger, but there is a gag order here, so we don't know everything the prosecution has. But a lot of people think he's the guy, he must be guilty. But there's a long way to go, and a lot of people think that this case isn't a slam dunk.
It's absolutely disgusting. This guy does not have a presumption of innocence. He has the assumption of guilt. I'm Sarah Azari. I'm a criminal trial attorney in Los Angeles. I'm currently a legal analyst for News Nation, and I am the host of the Presumption podcast. You know, pretrial convictions of high-profile defendants in high-profile cases is nothing new, but Kohberger is a whole other level, and I think not only we found him guilty of slaying the 4 Idaho students, but we've decided that he's going to get the death penalty.
The most significant piece of evidence for prosecutors is the DNA of the defendant found on the knife sheath of the alleged murder weapon located underneath victim Madison Mogen's body.
We don't know when and how this DNA got there. So if Bryan Kohberger is person A and he touches this knife sheath, and then somehow this knife sheath is picked up by somebody else. I mean, he could touch it, he could handle it, it could be anything. And then that person then somehow is in this Kings Road home. That is a perfect explanation of how Kohberger's DNA was on that knife sheath. Is insufficient to place him in that home, let alone to place the murder weapon in his hands. That's why I'm not at all worried about the DNA.
I'm Tiffany Roy, and I'm a forensic DNA expert. I work privately in the area of forensic DNA and forensic biology. I've been doing this work for 17 years. DNA can be transferred onto items that people have never contacted and never touched. That can be found in rooms where people have never set foot. He may never have touched that sheath, and his DNA could have been transferred there by some contact with another item or another person. We can't tell how it got there. We can't tell when it got there.
Or it could be there because he committed this quadruple murder and took the lives of these 4 students, and maybe when he was closing the snap, his thumb touched it before he even showed up at the murder scene, and maybe that knife sheath got loose because those girls were fighting for their lives. Now, you take that evidence in conjunction with all the other evidence, including those phone records. Wow.
Investigators believe that Kohberger's cell phone was off or in airplane mode around the estimated time of the murders because he turned it off.
We've been saying it was off, his phone was off. We don't know if it was off. It could have been off, it could have been in airplane mode, or it could have just simply not picked up signal during that time. What's odd, of course, and what's problematic for the defense is that his phone did pick up signal before the murder.